Not everybody likes big animals, but we can all appreciate their great size. With so many different species around the world, we're constantly learning about new animals that live among us. Today, we're showing you 10 of the biggest animals that ever lived on Earth. This video is all about large animals, but if you click the subscribe button before we start, you'll be able to watch videos of all different types of animals on the hub too. Aegirocassis BENMOULAE. This creature was only recently discovered, even though scientists think it existed nearly 500 million years ago. At around 6.5 feet long, the Aegirocassis BENMOULAE was a helmet-headed sea creature and was found off the coast of Morocco. Obviously, it was impossible to put the creature back together, but from the remains that scientists found from one of the creatures, they could assume that its body was around 4 feet long. Another was thought to be 1.6, and it was thought that the largest of the bunch would be around 6.5 feet long. This would have made it the largest creature on Earth at the time by a pretty long shot. You might be wondering where the strange name came from for this creature, because Aegirocassis BENMOULAE doesn't quite roll off the tongue. In fact, the name is a collection of different names all put together to supposedly sum up the creature in the most accurate manner. Aegir is the god of the sea in Norse mythology, Cassis is the Latin word for helmet, and BENMOULAE is actually the name of the Moroccan collector who first discovered the remains of the animal. Surprisingly, the creature wouldn't have feasted on large prey, but instead favored micro-beasts like tiny crustaceans, which it filter-fed while swimming. Wandering albatross. This huge bird can have a wingspan of around 11.5 feet and can fly around the world in 46 days. It can journey for up to 10,000 miles in one go, which puts it ahead of a lot of commercial airplanes. However, although the wandering albatross is a big creature, you won't be surprised to hear that it's not quite the size of a plane yet. Although, who knows what will happen with evolution. The wandering albatross has been studied for a long time to see just how it can fly such huge distances compared to most other birds. Not only has it got the wingspan, but it's got the speed too, and can fly up to 67 miles per hour, so you wouldn't want to challenge one to a race. This animal has also been around for a long time and can be traced back for around 50 million years. But if you're hoping to catch one of them mid-flight, then you might want to get looking sooner rather than later, because they're becoming endangered. They can also live for up to 60 years and are renowned for finding a mate for life. This certainly makes them a lot more loyal than a lot of other species. The giant snake. A lot of people have a fear of snakes, and it's not difficult to see why. They're not the friendliest looking animals, and there's always that small glint in their eyes that keeps you cautious of whether or not they're going to bite you. So imagine the fear these Brazilian builders felt when they discovered this huge snake at the back of a cave they were working in. The creature, which has since been dubbed the biggest snake in the world, didn't last for long, and that has been subject to controversy alone. The previous largest snake in the world was caught in Malaysia and measured over 26 feet long, and this Brazilian one was thought to be even longer at 32 feet. If its length wasn't enough to put you off venturing inside caves ever again, the fact that it weighed nearly half a ton might. Footage emerged of the beast being carried into a van that drove it away, and it was so large that the snake was actually chained down. Not that we think it could go far once it had been killed, but we're not surprised they didn't want to take any chances, and we don't even want to know what this beast was doing before it was caught, but the huge bulk in its body suggests he had a big appetite. Queen Alexandra's bird-winged butterfly. So it might not be up there with the elephants and the whales of this world, but the Queen Alexandra's bird-winged butterfly is by far the largest of its kind. Measuring around a foot long, this butterfly is definitely one you would notice flying towards you. This is also one of the nicer beasts on our list, because although you might try and run away from a giant snake or a huge giraffe, the butterfly is unlikely to harm you. Well, it won't harm humans at least. Technically, it's a poisonous creature, and any animals that ingest it are likely to become ill and vomit. If that doesn't work as a fun evolutionary trick, then we're not sure what does. However, the butterfly only has an average lifespan of 3 months, and this might be a contributing factor towards its endangered status. Not only does it not live for very long, but it's also not very widespread. The Queen Alexandra can only be found on a small strip of lowland coastal rainforest in northern Papua New Guinea. At a foot wide, it's the biggest butterfly in the world, with very few close competitors. And in contrast to most animals, the female is bigger than the male, although the male is much more brightly colored. Giant clam. At around 4 feet wide, you might be surprised to learn how heavy the giant clam actually is. You wouldn't want to try picking it up, because at around 440 pounds, even the world's strongest bodybuilders might struggle to lift it off the ground. Some of them can even reach over 500 pounds, however these are rarely spotted. It's the largest mollusk in the world, and favors the warm seas of Australia, particularly the Great Barrier Reef. It survives on a carnivorous diet, although we're hoping it prefers fish to humans, but we could never be completely sure. There have been rumors in the past that this particular clam would like to try a diet of human being, but scientists claim that it would never actually happen, and that the clam would move too slowly to be able to capture an unsuspecting diver anyway. But maybe we'll keep our distance, just in case. Life is a bit of a risk for the giant clam because, unlike most creatures, it can't just get up and leave if something unfriendly moves in next door. Once the giant clam has fastened itself to a spot on the reef, it's there for life. Now that's a decision we wouldn't want to have to make in a hurry. Komodo dragon. At 10 feet tall and weighing up to 330 pounds, the Komodo dragon could seem slightly intimidating if one ran up behind you. They're pretty fast movers too, so you better be careful if you happen to be in Indonesia's Lesser Sunda Islands. We'd like to reassure you here about how these dragons don't actually hunt humans, but unfortunately we can't give you that guarantee. They have big appetites, which is probably something to do with weighing over 300 pounds, and they pick on large prey too. They eat almost anything, but especially deer, pigs, smaller dragons, or water buffalo. Occasionally, even humans. Sorry about that, but if you keep your eyes open, you should be able to avoid being eaten. The Komodo dragon uses camouflage to hunt down its next snack, so checking the areas around you could go a long way to ensuring your survival. But don't think that you'll be fine running away with a small bite, because Komodo dragons have a poisonous bite that usually kills within 24 hours. Their saliva contains more than 50 strains of bacteria, so although you might not die from the bite itself, the resulting blood poisoning will usually be enough to do away with you. Giant squid. Don't try and get anything past the giant squid because it's almost all-seeing. Along with its huge size, the giant squid's eyes are the size of frisbees. This makes them around 10.5 inches in total, so they're able to spot even the smallest of movements. The biggest giant squid is around 40 feet long, but there have been rumors of them growing up to 60 and 70 feet. Unfortunately, these have never been truly confirmed by scientists, so we're yet to find out if these huge beasts really exist or not. Regardless, 40 feet is pretty long, which might be why they get eaten so frequently. We guess it's harder to hide when there's so much of you. They're a favorite dish of the sperm whale, and scientists think that this whale alone devours up to 3.6 million squids each day. Over the course of a year, this adds up to 131 million squid. The giant squid is strange because its gene pool is so small. Unlike most animals, there's little variation between each beast, which we guess is a good thing for evolution. It's more equipped for the next million years or so, because even its tentacles regenerate to look exactly the same as before. Imagine if humans could do that too. Indian bison. Otherwise known as the gar, the Indian bison is the largest member of the bovine family. It lives in Nepal and India, and the male can grow up to 11 feet tall. Sadly, the females only grow around a quarter of this size, but the vast bulk of the males means it still deserves a worthwhile place on our biggest animals list. Along with their huge height comes an equally great mass. These animals can weigh up to anything between 1,400 and 2,200 pounds, so you wouldn't want to get in the way if one of them happened to be running towards you. Best to jump out of the way as quickly as possible, we think. They don't seem to be particularly unfriendly animals, but their size means they probably don't have many enemies. With the exception of neighboring tigers and crocodiles, they're up there with the largest animals in the area. Unlike many humans, the Indian bison prefers early mornings, which might have something to do with the temperatures. They live in groups of 8 to 11, but this can occasionally grow to 40. We think they prefer the smaller group because you'd almost definitely get a lot of big egos in a group of that size. George the giraffe. Giraffes are usually regarded as a friendly animal, and George was no exception. Standing tall at 20 feet, he was thought to be around 4 feet taller than the average giraffe, and the tallest animal in captivity. He was brought over from Kenya in 1959 when he was around 18 months old and lived his whole life at Chester Zoo in England until he died in 1969. George was a Maasai giraffe, which is the tallest subspecies of giraffe. The tallest living giraffe now is called Zulu, who lives at Pembrokeshire Zoo in Wales. He's around 19 feet tall, which makes him only a shade shorter than George. Plus, we never know, but he could continue to grow eventually and hold the record for the tallest ever giraffe. No pressure, Zulu. He weighs in at 1.3 tons, and even the specialists who transported him from the Netherlands 5 years ago were astounded by his bulk. Giraffe lovers and keepers from other zoos regularly turn up at Pembrokeshire Zoo to marvel at Zulu's size, and his friendly nature doesn't go amiss either. But this might have something to do with his size because, understandably, it's difficult to move Zulu if he doesn't want to change location. Weighing so much must be an advantage if you've got a stubborn personality, and we're sure that Zulu uses this trick to his advantage too. Northern white rhino. There are only 3 northern white rhinos left in the world, so along with being known for their size, they're also known for being very close to extinction. The three left are Sudan, the only male, and Fatu and Najin, the two females. You're probably aware that rhinos' horns sell for a lot of money, but you might not have realized the extent of it. In some cultures, it can go for more money than illegal substances. As a result, our last three remaining white rhinos are kept under 24/7 supervision, just in case anybody comes too close and tries to take them down. Their keepers actually got rid of their horns, which was seen as controversial at the time, but has been crucial for their survival. Rhino horns can sell for up to $50,000 per kilo. Scientists are trying to encourage the animals to breed, but Sudan is nearing old age, so there's a chance we may see them going extinct in the next decade. But with science now reaching levels of never before, there's a chance they could be brought back in the future artificially. Of course, it's not ideal, but we wouldn't want to lose this amazing animal forever. We hope you enjoyed learning about all these great animals today, and we know you'll be fully prepared as to what to expect if you ever venture into the wild and come across one or more of them. Thanks, and see you next time!